Today, the death toll from a Russian strike in the Ukrainian city of Dnipro rose to 40, with dozens still missing. It was one of the deadliest single incidents of the war and comes at the beginning of a pivotal week for Western efforts to provide Ukraine heavy weapons, including tanks. Rescue efforts in Dnipro continue, but officials acknowledge that there is little hope of finding anyone alive. In the residential building that is torn in two, death is still far too easy to find. Today, emergency workers hope to rescue the injured. So far, they've only needed body bags. Across the street, a makeshift memorial. In a war that has already caused so much destruction and stolen even the most innocent, neighbors wonder why they survived and can only hope their prayers protect the dead.
All of us could be in that place. People, children.
Saturday's strike buried hundreds of people under the rubble. The Russian missile hit in the middle of a residential neighborhood, one of Russia's deadliest attacks on civilians in nearly 11 months of war. It struck at night. The massive apartment complex it hit obliterated. The pain of a mother who watched her son die, unspeakable.
What did you kill him for? What did you do to my son? May you be damned for the whole of your lives by everybody, by me personally and by all the mothers' tears.
The attack coincided with the Orthodox New Year, celebrated by both Ukrainians and Russians. Online, Ukrainians post videos of families inside the apartment building before and the same kitchen after it was ripped open. President Volodymyr Zelensky called it terrorism and said Ukraine would not lose hope.
We are fighting for every person. The rescue operation will last as long as there is even the slightest chance to save lives.
And he used the attack to once again criticize Russians for not criticizing the war enough.
I want to say to all those in Russia and from Russia, your cowardly silence, your attempt to wait out what is happening, will only end with the same terrorists coming for you one day.
Today, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the building was actually struck by a Ukrainian missile.
The Russian armed forces do not strike neither residential buildings nor the sites of civilian infrastructure. The strikes are aimed at military targets.
To strengthen its military, Ukraine has asked for Western tanks to upgrade its mostly Soviet-era armor. And now, for the first time, the West will provide them. This weekend, the United Kingdom announced it will send 14 Challenger 2 tanks. Today in Parliament, British Defense Secretary Ben Wallace said the tanks would help Ukraine achieve, quote, victory. And he urged Germany to send its tanks, the Leopard 2, which Ukraine has prioritized.
There's a debate in Germany at the moment about whether a tank is an offensive weapon or a defensive weapon. Well, depends what you're using it for. If you're using it to defend your country, I would wager that it is a defensive weapon system.
They have better battlefield mobility. They bring more firepower, and most importantly, they bring much more sophisticated targeting capabilities, allowing them to shoot and kill first on the battlefield.
Retired General Philip Breedlove is the former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO and the U.S.'s top European commander. Tactically, how much of a difference can 14 British tanks really make to the Ukrainian army?
Tactically, very little. But in breaking that policy hold on this kind of equipment, we hope now that nations will begin to supply more sufficient numbers that will then have a big effect on the battlefield.
Poland has promised to send its Leopards, and Finland could follow if Germany gives approval. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki.
The battle for our freedom, our future, is raging as we speak. And if we have been investing for years in heavy war equipment, in tanks, they must not be left to rust in storehouses, but be placed in the hands of Europe's defenders.
Ukraine urges the U.S. to follow with its M1A1 Abrams tanks. And Breedlove and others urge the U.S. to go further and send longer-range systems the administration has so far blocked for fear of escalating the war. Do you think Washington should be afraid of escalation?
Well, to say that we shouldn't consider it and think about it would be foolish. But to be deterred by it, which I believe we are in a large way deterred by this fear, that is a problem. The bottom line is right now, speed is of the essence.
But right now, there's little Ukraine can do to prevent Russian strikes on civilians. And so Ukrainians fear they face more days like today.